Hello and welcome back to Mind to Soul. This is our second episode. Mind to Soul is a podcast journey where thought meets transformation. Thank you for coming and trusting me with your mind. Thank you for sharing time and space with me. My name is Olaitoyin Boda. I am a trained psychotherapist and psychiatry provider. I treat with both cognitive behavioral therapy tools, psychotherapy, and I treat with pharmacological interventions. I use all the tools in my toolbox because our mental stability is priority to me. I love what I do a lot. I'm also a life coach and a mind coach. I love it because it's also very cathartic for me. As I also help myself in the process. I can always relate and I can always empathize and I can always appreciate what it looks like to work on our mental wellness. When the mind is sick, it affects the wellness of the whole body. Welcome back. Last episode, we spoke about self-awareness. We specifically spoke about how to improve our self-awareness practices using tools like journaling. I encouraged us to journal, read it back to ourselves, use that as a conversation starter with ourselves. I asked us to reintroduce ourselves to ourselves. We also spoke about mindfulness and how mindfulness is only progressive if we can stay in tune with our thoughts and track them and actually be aware of what they're doing. This episode, I will be talking about rewiring our thoughts. If we have opened ourselves to tracking our thoughts, then we are going to be able to see how our thoughts are presenting. Our inner views, which is our thought, affects our worldview. It affects how we present in the world. It affects how we interact with the world. It affects our identity in the world. And if all this is true, then it's important for us to rewire certain pathways, certain habitual movement that we've done in the past that doesn't work for us anymore. This podcast today is to help rewire our thoughts. I am going to be discussing a few things that we can do that is easy to do, but needs us to commit to it. I'm going to start with a quick story. A few years ago, I was offered a leadership position. I really loved it. I thought this has to be the best position for me. I felt like this position was everything I needed at that time to grow. I was offered this position. I was excited, and not far off after, my thoughts started plaguing me. I started thinking, I'm not good enough for this. This is going to be too much work. I'm not ready for this. Can I carry this? Can I handle this? Truly, as self-disclosing as I can be, I walked away from the job. I walked away because I thought it wasn't time. About 4 months later, after a lot of internal conflict, I was able to resolve how I had subjected myself to the lies that my mind had told me. I allowed my mind to convince me that I wasn't good enough. And I'm sure many of us can relate. How many times have we walked away from an important situation because we think we're not capable enough, we're not good enough? We believe the lies that our minds are telling us. That lies creates packages and throws at us thought processes that we don't challenge, that are not healthy, that are debilitating, that are self-loathing, but we don't challenge it. We just move into it. We accept it because it's become an automatic thinking. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about what automatic thinkings are. Automatic thinkings, they're like brain reflexes we do without effort. They come so easy. They're so instant. They're so irrational even at times. But because they're so familiar to us, our brain automatically throws them at us. Automatic thinking are created from the beginning of when we started understanding the concept of language or thinking. They're created from our childhood experiences, past experiences, things we've gone through, things we are going through, or things we are anticipating. They're like shortcut roads that we go through because it's convenient and it's easy and it's effortless. And we're often very, very believing of those automatic thinking. We rely on them. We don't challenge them, and that's where the problem comes. Automatic thinking also are problematic because if our tendencies are to have negative thinking, they become set in automatic ways. They become autopiloted to us. Automatic thinking can affect how we feel, and how we feel affect our actions. There is a thought triangle, thoughts, feelings, and our action that explain the person we are. When the thought is errored, the feeling is errored. And when the feeling is errored, the choices behind our actions are always errored. Thoughts are defined as the interpretation we make based on past experiences, present experiences, future experiences, situations that we go through every day. Feelings are the emotions that follow when the thoughts are created. A lot of times when a thought is created, there is a slew of feelings that follow them. Feelings like sadness, happiness, doubt, embarrassment, joy, depression, anxiety, all these emotions, all these feelings come along whenever a thought is produced. Feelings, it creates choices. And a lot of the time when those feelings are errored, the choices we make are also errored. The rewiring starts at the state of thinking. Because we are so predisposed to certain emotion, we cannot always, without consciousness, alter our behaviors that follow it. I will be talking about 5 cognitive distortions that we often are predisposed to because we may be struggling with anxiety, we have depression, we have a negative view of ourselves, we struggle with self-esteem. We have these cognitive distortions because of things that we have dealt with in the past. Trauma can cause it, disappointment, rejection can cause this cognitive distortion. I always say it's never the situation, it's how we interpret the situation. Cognitive distortions are inaccurate, irrational thought patterns that can lead to negative emotions and negative behaviors. They are automatic and subconscious and can distort a person's perception of reality. Here are a few that we'll be talking about today. All or nothing thinking, catastrophizing or catastrophic thinking, overgeneralization, mind reading, and discounting the positive. Let's start with all or nothing thinking. What is all or nothing thinking? All or nothing thinking is when we think in two extremes. It's either it's all good or it's all bad. There is never the middle. There's never grace to learn. There's never grace to experience differently. It's either I'm good or I'm bad. An example of it is, if I'm not getting this perfectly, then I am a total failure. Most of our life exists in the middle. Success and growth comes in shades of gray, not black and white. When things don't look the way we want it to, we automatically do the all or nothing thinking. I must just be really bad at it because I didn't get it right the first time. I once had an experience with someone that just wrote their driving test, their road test. And for whatever reason, they weren't able to get a parallel parking right. They would just not be able to get it right whenever they would go in for their road test. When we started analyzing, I realized they were doing the all or nothing thinking. If it wasn't all the way straight and I've not entered the corner, then I'm not good. And in that space, they're sabotaging themselves. All or nothing thinking is when we cannot allow ourselves access the middle, when we are living in two extreme, either very good or very bad. The next one is catastrophic thinking. Anytime I see catastrophizing or catastrophic thinking, I realize that the person has moved into a form of defense mechanism that is self-soothing. The brain tells them to go to an extreme state of interpreting what's happening, an extreme state of flight, driven by anxiety. An example of this would be, if I mess up this presentation, I will lose my job and I'll lose everything. It's always the extreme. It's never rational. It's never reasonable. It's always the extreme. In reality, mistakes may have consequences, but they are rarely apocalyptic the way our brain is predicting it to be. Overgeneralizing is when we see everything negatively because of a situation that has rejected us in the past. It's drawing lies as fact, really. It's when you draw lies as fact for a situation that wasn't favorable for us in the past to almost convince us that we will not be successful at something. An example of it is, I got rejected once, so I would never find love. The reality is, one event doesn't define the entire future. Mind reading is the distortion that we often project to the next person. It's when we convince ourselves that we can read another person's mind to justify an irrational thought process. Here's what it looks like. They didn't smile at me today. They must not like me anymore. We can read people's minds. People's behaviors often has nothing to do with us. Discounting the positive. A lot of the time, it's easier to see the negative because we are afraid that if we saw the positive, it will compel us to a standard of keeping up to things that maybe we not trusting ourselves that we can. So a person will use this kind of distortion to keep those expectations managed. An example of this is, yes, I did well, but it was just luck. In reality, we minimize our strength and make success so invisible because we don't want to manage the discomfort of not being successful. So now that we've spoken about this distortion, let's talk about how to start to change them. I will be sharing a few cognitive restructuring techniques to help with this. We will be talking about evidence tests, alternative view, and scaling it down. Evidence test is a form of cognitive restructuring that encourages you to find evidence to support that thought process or evidence against it. I like this so much because it slows you down from being impulsive or moving into automatic thinking. In the space, you will ask yourself, what are the facts that supports this thoughts and what are the facts against it? An example will be, I am terrible at my job. The evidence for it is you missed a lot of deadline. Evidence against it is you met dozens of others and received a positive feedback. In that space, you have concrete fact-based evidence to help change that thought process. Alternative view. Life is so vast and beautiful that we really can not see things one way. We have to be encouraged to see the alternative view in things. It's when you open yourself to see positive view of a situation that allows you to manage the feeling and allows you to manage the behavior after that thought was created. Is there another way to look at this? This is a question you would ask yourself. An example will be, instead of I failed the presentation, maybe it wasn't my best, but it was a learning experience still. This allows you to do accountability. This allows you to see other positive about a situation that may not automatically present positive to you. The last one is scaling it down. I love this so much. It's when you tone down the thought process, and in other words, tone down the emotion that comes with it and manage the behavior that comes with it as well. It's when you calm the thought to calm the feeling to calm the behavior. Here's what it looks like when you ask, will this matter in a week? In a year? In 2 years, will this really matter? An example is, I embarrassed myself in the meeting. In a year, will anyone remember? Probably not. When you use this tool, the thought begins to loosen, and it doesn't vanish overnight, but it loses its power over you. You start to gain control over your mind. Let's visit my original story. My thought when I didn't take that job was, I am not qualified for that opportunity. Evidence for it was I hadn't held that exact role before, which was true. I hadn't done it before. It was new to me. Evidence against this is I have strong skills. I'm a team player, and this is an opportunity for growth. In terms of using an alternative view based on my distorted thought, I should have seen it as I may not know everything yet, but I will learn from the job. It will be hard to change or rewire our mind when we don't commit to this process. So I encourage you in the next few days to practice some of those interventions we've spoken about. In closing, every time you challenge and reframe a thought, you lay down new pathways. And over the time, that becomes the road you will walk on the most. Thanks for joining me on the second episode of Mind to Soul Rewiring Your Thought. If this resonates with you, I encourage you to share, subscribe, practice, and hold yourself accountable to change those automatic patterns, automatic ways that don't work for you anymore. Remember, you are not your thought, you are the awareness behind them. And also remember, awareness is power, and power is freedom. Thank you, and be kind to yourself.